Welcome back to another episode on Holistic Soul Sister TV. This week we are doing a primary practitioner episode where we're going to feature one of my dear friends, Paige, and we are welcoming her into the Holistic Soul Sister community as a primary referral. She is a holistic wellness coach, but she is so much more than that. She will help you with your physical, she will help you with your gut health, but she's definitely going to help you with those spaces that are a little bit more uncomfortable to look at, like our mental health, our thoughts, our feelings, and our emotions. She has been such a blessing in my life to guide me out of my masculine and into my feminine. So I look forward to this episode. She is going to introduce herself, share about her journey. She's also going to educate us a little bit in this episode, give us some nuggets of wisdom so we can, move through our own journey wherever we're at with improving our mental health and most importantly, our mental awareness. We work together on the Cleanse with Your Coaches program. So if you've been a part of our Holistic Soul Sister community now for a while, you saw that we did a group parasite cleanse to kick off 2023. This is my fellow co-coach in our program. So we really got to hang out a lot over the last 12 weeks.
Yeah.
We got to know each other even deeper through cleansing together. It's always a fun journey.
Yeah.
And we got to witness 6 beautiful women go through their first parasite cleanse.
Yep,
so that was a lot
too.
of fun.
Yeah.
And your first cleanse too.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've known each other a really long time. We actually both were servers, in the industry, getting people drunk and indulging on food.
Yep.
And then we came full circle and decided we wanted to right our karma and help people heal from all the alcohol and food that they indulged in.
Such a switch.
So we both kind of did our own journey. How we got to it is very different, but we kind of realigned in this mission to help women heal holistically and grow spiritually. And now here we are, doing the health coach thing and guiding women on their journey. So I'm just honored to have you here to be one of our primary practitioners. So within the Holistic Soul Sister program, if you are new to Holistic Soul Sisters, we like to just support women in their journey wherever they're at. And we have a whole group of primary practitioners that we've worked with personally, that we've vetted, that we've witnessed them sharing their gifts with other people. And so you're one of those beautiful women. So welcome to that community with us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Before we even get into what you do and how you help women heal, we have to know, what is your sun, moon, and rising? We'll get to the important stuff first.
No, this is important. My sun is Gemini, my rising is Pisces, and my moon is Virgo.
Ooh, so I'm a Virgo sun. So in a little bit of astrology, because y'all know I'm an astrologer. So in astrology, your sun sign is how you shine out into the world. And so everyone notices your sun, right? So you're bright as heck. And your moon sign indicates what you need for emotional security and comfort. And so I'm a Virgo sun. So I shine my Virgo-ness all over. And what Paige needs as a Virgo moon is someone that gives Virgo energy. Then she feels safe, secure, and comfortable.
I do.
And we didn't even know that until, 2 months ago?
Yeah, when we did the parasite cleanse together. Yeah, just working together, we found that out.
Yeah. So
it's a perfect match.
Perfect match. I love it. So what is your favorite healing modality?
All right. So my current favorite healing modality would be cryotherapy.
Ooh.
Yes. I've been loving it. I've been doing it for a few months. My wellness center that I was going to did shut down. So I am looking at probably now doing more like cold plunge, but any of the cold therapy, I love it.
I don't even know how you do that. I am such a wuss when it comes to being cold. And even though I know the health benefits, I can't do it. Does it get easier?
Not always. No, there's some days I don't even want to do it, but I know the benefits of it. And honestly, it's how I feel afterwards that's why I do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm not a cold person either, but for this, it's like I power through it. So it's there's a lot of benefits to it. So I love it.
I love that. Okay, so that's your favorite holistic healing modality.
Yes.
Then what is your favorite go-to spiritual practice? What helps you grow spiritually?
So, I would say would be my meditation practice. I have grown it to be pretty strong now where I do it at least daily. I try to. There's days that it doesn't happen, but it would definitely be meditation. I find a lot of benefits and just yeah, a lot from that. But also I've been incorporating like prayer.
Ooh.
So prayer in like intention setting. So I kind of mix the two. So and what I've been doing it is with like my food and my water. So I'll set an intention. I have this little mantra that I
Oh, I
say.
love it. Can you share it with us?
Yes. So I just created this and it felt good for me. So before I begin to eat, I'll say, well, now I'm like on the spot. So like, what is it that I say?
What do you say?
May this food provide me health, nutrition, and vitality for my mind, body, and soul.
Wow.
Yes. And I envision it, right? I envision it that I'm not just saying it. I really am envisioning that it's, really working through my mind, body, and soul. So that's what I say for my food. And then for my water, I have a Berkey water system. And each time I fill it, I'm not as good as doing this often, but I try to say a little blessing too. Is just like, thank you for this water. Thank you for this energy. Because there are studies that when you bless your water, you say good things to your water, good things to your plant. Like there's a lot to that. So
Yeah. Isn't that like a study where they like spoke to water and it like crystallized in these beautiful geometric patterns?
yep.
Okay.
Yep. And then they did the same with like, saying like hateful words or just like you're ugly, things like that to water. And there was no, I mean, it was the formation, it wasn't there
Like
versus
chaotic and
yeah,
sporadic.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
that's
So there's a
super.
lot of power in it.
It's not just woo woo. It's not just
No,
like prayer and intention and manifestation. Like
mm-mm.
it's science.
It
It's
is. It is.
vibration.
Yep. And you can look up videos that will show you that too.
I love that as a spiritual practice.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for that. I think I might try incorporating that. I remember when I was really sick with mold, my holistic doctor was big about that. Like when I was taking my supplements or taking things, she would always try to encourage me to like set the intention. And through all the things I did in my healing journey for mold, I never ended up doing it. I don't know why I had
Really?
resistance to it.
Huh.
I don't know. So now like many years later, I hear this from you and like maybe
Yeah.
I need to like put that little cherry on top and add that in.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because our intention for anything is powerful, but also I think it comes down to it's like no matter what you're doing, it's the intention behind it, right? It could be eating real if you find yourself like sometimes I'll have maybe not something that's very healthy, but it's all I have. And so I set that intention that it gives me, health and
Ooh.
vitality regardless. And I think that's going to be the powerful part versus what you're actually consuming.
I love
So
that. And it's so easy. It's free.
yeah.
You're already eating. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
not like you're going out of your way.
Mm-hmm. And you're
Right.
practicing a little gratitude in there too.
I love that. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you shared that. So let's kind of dive in. I want you to kind of share with all of our community members, what is your area of expertise? Like, what do you do? I know you're a holistic health coach, but it's so much more than that.
Yes, I like to incorporate the importance of mental health and gut health. Gut health has a lot to do with, how we're feeling. That's the correlation to the mental health. So if our gut health is off, our mental health can be off. And so it's so important to tie those two together. And the opposite is true too. So if your mental health is off, your gut health is going to be off. You're going to feel it in your gut as well. So really bring the two together and working with the both of them together because again, they coincide with each other. So I really like to, mental health, it's like digging into there, like the mindset, it's limiting beliefs, emotional health on top of that too. And then gut health is, movement, diet, supplements, having the right nourishment, minerals, vitamins.
So you're really kind of taking like the physical things that we can do on a regular day-to-day basis and recognizing how that's impacting your thoughts, your feelings, your patterns, your behaviors, like bridging the gap between all of that.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's really unique because a lot of times when you're dealing with even a holistic doctor or a health coach, they're looking at just the physical, their blood work, the supplements, your diet, how often you're exercising. And then you also go to like therapists that are talking to you about your thoughts and your feelings, but rarely are they bridging, like you said, between the two. And they both exist simultaneously at the same time. One affects the other in both direction. And so it sounds like you kind of you're the middleman. Like you're like, hey, what's going on over here? What's going on over here? And how can we make that better?
Yes, exactly. Yes. I primarily would say I work with women who are looking to incorporate or start with living a holistic and natural lifestyle. With that said, because that can be so many different components, but they're ultimately looking for a deeper connection with themselves, a stronger relationship and appreciation and love for themselves. I think society can put on so many beliefs and pressures on us that at the end of the day, it's like, do we even know who we are? And so I work with women guiding them and figuring that out. A lot of self love involved too.
When we are in this space of coaching and mentoring and helping other people, it's not an easy journey because, you really commit yourself to your clients and you put in a lot of energy for your clients. So, what would you say your why is? Like, what keeps you going? What gets you excited to meet someone new and guide them on their journey? What is your why?
It really comes down to guiding my clients to loving life again and loving themselves, most importantly. I think the two tie together too, because when you have a lot of love for yourself, you then find a lot of love and joy in life, and there's no better feeling.
Yeah. No, that's so true because once you love life, everything's possible again.
Yeah.
And you can't love life without loving yourself. So I love that you hit on both of those aspects.
Yes.
So obviously there's a bunch of health coaches and there's a bunch of people that, talk about mental health. So what uniqueness do you bring to this industry? What do you feel like is your unique how that you go about transforming your clients' lives?
My unique how would be my compassion and my empathy, no doubt. I have
Yes.
a lot. I definitely have a lot. And I love going deeper with people. I love finding out about them and guiding them to discover more about themselves and just going deeper, not staying at the surface level. Like, we're going all in.
Yes. I can totally attest to that because when Paige and I did the Cleanse with Your Coaches program, we didn't realize this. This was just such a universe's way of bringing us together in this energy. But I reached out to you to do the program. And then, well, halfway through the program, I was like, wow, I'm the masculine coach and you're the feminine coach.
Yeah.
And it was so beautiful for our participants because they got both energies. I was more of like the parental, like, did you do this? Did you do that? Here's your checklist. Like, make sure you're doing all the right things and really brought that like sternness to the program to make sure that people were doing what they needed to do. And then you would coach them in the most like heart centered, soft, compassionate way. And the way that you ask the questions to our clients, like, I was like, I would never even think to ask that question. I don't even know if I would even consider that to be like a part of the process.
Yeah.
And it was just so beautiful to witness that you just held space for those women in such a way that me in my best coaching moments still couldn't do. And so it was beautiful to have that.
Thank you. Yeah, I a gift I've been able to see of myself is really being able to see people for who they are and holding that space for them and really just making them feel seen.
Yeah.
Like, it's definitely a gift of mine. And I didn't even realize it came so naturally to me, but I love to focus in on people and allow them to be seen and felt and loved and all of it.
And I think that also comes with as a coach that you don't have any expectations. Like you're very big with your clients on just honoring them in the moment and like where they're at. And even if they fall off the path or whatever, like your compassion is so deep that there's no judgment, there's no shame, there's no like, oh my gosh, now we have to make up for this and cut back calories here, or do this to course correct. You're like, okay, that was such a learning lesson. Like now we're going to move on to this tool or whatever. And so I think that's so important when you're dealing with like vulnerable things like your health and your body and your emotions. So it makes you very unique as a coach because you can really go to any nutritional coaching school, like you can do all the business stuff, but like you can't really learn this compassion, empathy, feminine energy that you bring to your clients. So
Yeah.
It's definitely a blessing.
So I'll share that I had a client that, she came to me because she was just like unhappy with her weight, right? So that was like the surface level that she thought too. But working together, it's like we found that it's a lot deeper than that, right? Especially like if we are somebody that, I've been there before where I wasn't happy with my body. And you work on that aspect and you end up finding that it's actually a lot deeper of like you're just you want to lose the weight, but why do you want to lose the weight? There's something deeper under there. And I help women like kind of come to light to that and then guide them through that. And that's where the nutrition part comes in and the mental health part comes in. Um so for her, she came to me wanting to lose weight, but then we realized there was a much deeper disconnect with herself there. And so by working with that, I mean, you see, like, you build a stronger connection with yourself and you see almost like the lack of love that you had for yourself because, whatever, focusing on just like you weren't happy with your body, but it was a little bit deeper than that.
Hmm.
Um,
That's not an easy thing for women to admit.
right.
Even the women that have these, what society would say like perfect bodies still have these struggles, these critique points, these areas where they don't like. And who's going to admit that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think we, especially for women, I mean guys too, but for women like right, we see the models or we see what we like think we should look like and then we're just not happy because we're not looking like that. And if we're not happy with our body, it's like there's so much more to that. It's like yeah, you're not happy with your body, but it's like most of the time it's like, well, what are we feeding our body? Like, is that nourishing too? Like, our relationship with our body isn't, nourishing, but neither are maybe the food that we're feeding it and even the thoughts, like this took me so long to realize that like I am beautiful the way I am and that like I don't need to look any certain way. And like, yes, I've lost weight along the way of my journey, but it hasn't been that extreme. It really came back to the fact that I accepted myself for who I was, no matter what I looked like.
Yeah.
And I think that was the strongest piece. Like, so sure, people will come to me of like wanting to lose weight, but we like go into so much more that like when you lose weight, even if it's just a little bit, like it's not even about the weight, it's how you feel about yourself at the end. And that is like the self-love part that I think people don't realize that.
Yeah, it kind of is like that missing piece. And you bring up a good point that you can take all the supplements, you can eat the right foods, you can do all the right things and still not lose the weight, or you can still not have this transformation because it's the thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
it's the mindset, it's the stories, it's all the other things that truly can block the best diet, the perfect supplement routine, the perfect workout plan from actually making a difference
Yep.
if those thoughts are off. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing physically that you can do.
No, and that's again the mental health with the physical health and the gut health is like even for me, my journey, it was like I had points where I was like exercising like hardcore to like, oh, this is where I need to look a certain way or whatever. And like it took me long within the journey to realize like that even overworking myself wasn't getting the thoughts that I wanted. Like I still wasn't appreciating my body at that point. So it was a lot. That's when the mental health had to come into play and
Hmm.
really working on that, those beliefs and yeah, all of that.
So can you share with us a little bit about how you got here? Like I know you kind of hinted a little bit, but where did your journey begin where you ended up here helping women with their mental health, gut health, self-love? How
Yeah.
did this happen?
So, pretty much back it started when I was like a teenager and then into my early adult life. I dealt with depression and anxiety and then was put on pharmaceutical drugs for it for many years. And then it got to a point where I no longer wanted to accept that like I was told by doctors like, "Oh, you're depressed." Like I grew up thinking like, "Oh, okay, something's wrong with me. I'm depressed and I need to take this medicine for the rest of my life because it's nothing that I can control. It's something that I'm going to have to live with for the rest of my life." And I got to a point in my early adult life that I just didn't want to accept that. Something in me was like, I just don't want to accept this. And to be honest, like the medicine would work sometimes, but then there was other times where it was like at that point they want to increase your medicine because, oh, it's not working for you. Well, no, I've later learned that that's just ebbs and flows of life. But um, essentially the medicine wasn't like really getting to like, I don't want like the root cause, but really like what I was like seeking and like really reaching for. And it wasn't that. It was something more. I just felt there was more. So I did work with a psychologist who, excuse me, a psychiatric, no, a psychiatrist to come off the medications safely. So she did, guide me off of that. And then I just dove into, reading books, reading articles, um, anything I could get my hands on about the holistic and natural lifestyle. And, years later, I was like, holy crap, like I was off medication. It's now been since 2016 that I've been off all medication.
Wow.
So yeah, and I just keep going, and I realized a couple years in that like, wow, this is what I was looking for. This is what the medicine wasn't giving me. And doesn't mean that I don't go through highs and lows. Like, there's definitely hard times in my life, but it's the way I see them now. And I also have a ton of tools in my box now that I can use. And I've created a lifestyle that can support that. So um yeah, years went through the journey, and I was like, wow, I feel amazing. Like this is what I've been searching for. Like I know there's other women out there that I could absolutely help that have been in my spot previously and want the same or feel the same, but just don't know what to do or where to go, because at the time I did it, I had no support. My
Yeah.
family wasn't on board. They had no idea what I was doing. Um, and then the doctors have no idea what it's like to come off. I mean, my psychiatrist was like, why do you want to come off these? Like, there's just not enough help out there for people that, are looking for another alternative or more support. Maybe the medicine isn't really working. So, anyways, realized it worked. I was like, this is amazing. I felt like I really wanted to help other people. And so I did enroll in at IIN. So it's the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. And um I that pretty much leads me here today. I graduated just a year or two ago. And yeah, that's where I'm at today. Now I working on helping other women who are in similar positions that want to, either start or get more into a natural and holistic lifestyle. I've definitely learned along the way that there's no like destination. Like it's a continuous journey for the rest of life here, which is amazing at the same time because I just can learn more and continue to grow. So yeah, I mean, I I'm just so passionate about it, and I dedicate my whole life to where I just anytime, I'm always like trying to learn the next best thing or just find a new tool in my toolbox because things shift over time, and what might have worked before it doesn't work anymore, or I've learned of a better way. So um yeah, I just continue to
Expand.
expand.
I love that.
Yeah.
So, I have learned so much from you on this journey. And although I've had my own health issues and I constantly love to learn, every time we chat, you're just teaching me new things. And my expertise is not on the mental health side. And it's something that in my adult years, I'm actually like learning to understand in a different way. I think when we're younger and we're going through a rough period, you just end up saying, like, oh, I'm just depressed, right? And like, it's just this like blanket term or this description of how you're feeling, but maybe you're not necessarily depressed in a clinical sense. Maybe you're just feeling apathy or grief or maybe frustration, or there's so many other ways to identify the emotion that you're going through. And it's not necessarily like depression, but we put this label on ourselves. And I think so many times in my, even in my 20s, I would just go through a phase where I'm depressed. And now looking back and reflecting, everything I've learned from you is like, I was going through life. I was going through a transition. I was going through a career change. I was going through a relationship that was super toxic and I wasn't leaving the relationship. So of course I was quote unquote depressed, right? But this clinical description of depression that we sometimes bubble ourselves into that maybe we're not actually feeling, and it's something else. So you've taught me so much around this. So I would love to kind of take some time in this episode to help all our holistic soul sisters kind of understand what is mental health. Like, how do you know if, you're depressed or you're just going through life, and kind of just sharing a little bit about that. So if you're open to it, can we pick your brain a little bit?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you hit on a lot of good points there. So, um, and that was how like my journey started, right? I was told I was depressed, so I automatically put myself in this bubble of like, I'm depressed, and I labeled myself, and that really hindered me from just a lot of things and just being who I really was, right? There's a lot of shame held with that. And so, you know, what I've learned is like, and I don't want to take away anything, you know, the clinical depression part of it, but I think a lot of the depression can be of like, we're just so quick to label it, whereas like not understanding that like life just does have ebbs and flows, and like we are going to have stressful times. We're going to lose people that we love. Maybe we're going to have big transitions in our lives, lose jobs, lose relationships, like, and even the good stuff too, but all of that is part of life. And so,
And sometimes it sucks. And it's
yes.
okay to say that it
Yeah.
sucks. Like, we don't have to put a little bow on it and be like, I'm getting through it, or it's all going to be okay in the end. Like, sometimes it seriously sucks. And you're
Yes.
allowed to say, I feel like it
Mhm.
sucks.
And I think that, yeah, and that's the biggest part is like acknowledging your feelings and allowing them to come up and sitting with them, and knowing that it's okay to feel that way. You know, you're not damaged. You're not like, I mean, I want to say like you're not depressed. Like you're going through a hard time. And so you have the right to feel those feelings that come along with depression, right? Loneliness, sadness, like all of the feelings. So, um,
It's definitely
yeah.
important to recognize. And then the other part of it that really helped me understand is that sometimes if you're feeling these mental fogs or, sadness or whatever, sometimes those thoughts are not because your brain is broken, but
Mhm.
it's because your gut is broken.
Yes.
So can you kind of share with our sisters about that? Because I think that helps us take off a lot of the shame of like, I'm feeling this way, and that must mean my brain is broken. And so now I need to like do brain stuff.
Mhm.
Sometimes that's not the route. Sometimes we need to go to the gut
Yeah.
and heal that.
Well, yeah, and so that leads me to one thing is like we definitely, this is something I've learned along the way. We all have those negative thoughts, right? They're there to essentially like um protect us, right? We get these negative thoughts. But what I think a lot of people don't realize too when it comes to gut health is a lot of the foods, if we're eating a lot of processed and just not high quality, healthy food, whole foods, like that is affecting our gut, which is then affecting our thoughts. And so the thoughts that we are having. So if we're, giving our body, unhealthy food, essentially we are giving our mind unhealthy thoughts. So that's a huge part that I don't think people realize is like if their mind is just like chaotic, it's not, they're not having the best of thoughts. It's like a lot of that has to do with your gut. If there's an imbalance in there, if you're, not having healthy bacteria down there, like so much goes into it.
And I think a great example, like to take exactly what you said and give someone like a very concrete example, is when you drink alcohol.
Yeah.
You're ingesting something in your body, and we can all agree that when we drink, our thoughts become different.
Mm.
Whether it's negative, whether it's positive, whether it's believing you look sexier than you are in the moment, whether, whatever it might be, our thoughts change from drinking alcohol. And that
Mhm.
applies across the board with anything that we consume, right?
Yeah.
Sugar, things that are high carbohydrate, not enough protein, like whatever it might be, you could break down the substance and it's going to have a chemical reaction in the body. It's a dramatic one, but it helps us recognize there is a direct correlation.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like what comes to mind is like eating like say let's say fast food, right? Or even like a big heavy like
Like
pasta
turkey,
dish. Yeah.
turkey for
It's like
Thanksgiving.
you're instantly tired, and it's like that's like think of that as like the same thing with like unhealthy food. It's like your body's having a reaction to it. So now I bet we can all say that when we have an apple or we have, some type of fruit, like we feel, I mean, either the same or we feel good. Like there's,
Not
there's not that
negative.
slump. Yeah. So it does, there's a huge, difference to what you're putting in and how you're feeling.
Yeah.
with your mind.
Yeah. And I think that helps us kind of take the shame away from it,
Mhm.
where, it's like things aren't broken, things aren't necessarily imbalanced. We just have to go back to the basics. And like you said earlier, the self love of I love myself enough to have a green drink, to have an apple instead of this, and that, so that I can feel better and think better. I know that when I have a green drink in the morning, my cognition and my ability to multitask is dramatically improved versus when I have like sugary pancakes with maple syrup and all the goodness. Then
Yeah.
I don't want to work. Like I'm not motivated to sit on my laptop or get things done. So,
Mhm.
that's like a big thing that I've had to recognize in my life and just honor that, because I want to go out and save the world and save my holistic soul sisters. And I can't do that if I eat pancakes and maple syrup for breakfast.
Yeah. And if you're someone that's like consistently on a diet like that, you don't know what it feels like to feel good.
Mm,
So if you're, eating the same things and you feel one way, and until you switch the diet and you realize like, oh my gosh, there's actually another way to feel, like, yeah, you don't experience that until you make the switch.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. During our Cleanse with the Coaches program, we had an entire week that was dedicated to mental health and emotional health that you led. And I learned
Mhm.
so much. And I would love to share with our Holistic Soul Sisters the concept that you shared with our Cleanse participants about witnessing your thoughts, being the observer of your thoughts. That was like such an epiphany to me, because we go through our day thinking the same thoughts, the same pattern. This is what I look like. Oh my God, my hair is frizzy. Oh my gosh, my boyfriend is annoying, or like whatever, those constant thoughts. Can you share about that and tell our Holistic Soul Sisters what you taught our Cleanse participants about witnessing and observing our thoughts?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it was mainly on the conversation of automatic negative thoughts, but it's
Oh, the
yeah,
ants.
the ants.
The ants.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. You taught us about
Yeah.
the ants,
Yes.
and I never heard this before. So, can you tell our Holistic Soul Sister what the heck the ants are?
Yeah. So ants are automatic negative thoughts, which we all have them. They are there as like a safety mechanism from way back when we were hunters and gatherers and we needed to, be aware of anything. But they're still instilled in us, but they're here for protection. So they're for good reason. But a lot of times we'll get so many of them that we don't need them. And we really have to, you know, push them aside and realize that like they're not us and they're not like necessarily true. It's really about questioning them. So when you get these negative thoughts where, you know, they can totally take over the day if you let them.
Yeah. Like,
Like I don't look good today. They don't like me.
my boyfriend's annoying,
Yes.
like these repetitive thoughts.
Yes, yes, and sometimes you're even like, "Wait, that's not me." Like, how? Why did I even think of that? Right? Because it's not you, but it's their thoughts that come up, and I think it's important to know, like, not attaching yourself to them and being like, "Oh my gosh, like, how could I ever think of that?" Like, it's there, it's normal. It's not you are not the thought. Um, but yeah, then there's some tools to like, question it if you find yourself kind of spiraling or, repeatedly thinking of the thought and letting the thought get bigger is, um, one approach is like, is the thought true? Right. So, I'm so ugly. Well, are you really? Come on. Like, like, is the thought true? Like, what facts do you have to support the thought? Um, what would you say to a friend if a friend was having the thought or the thought came through? So those are some tools. It's really questioning the thought because again, a lot of the times the thoughts just come through and, we can attach to them very easily, right? Because our mind thinks so much in one day. So, yeah, it's just kind of really questioning the thoughts.
So is that something, through your coaching with women, that you work through, I'm assuming, right?
Yes.
That doesn't change overnight. It
No,
takes time.
it does. It does. And it takes time and, some awareness. First, being aware that you're having the negative thoughts. And I mean, hopefully this conversation can kind of bring light to some people to realize like, oh, wow, yeah, that happens to me. And that isn't me, like those are thoughts that just come through. So the awareness is first. And then, yeah, it's not an overnight thing. And it's something you have to work with because, again, our brain just instantly wants to think about it and we want to maybe sometimes spin off on the thought. But, it takes practice to be intentional about just sitting with the thought, questioning the thought, because we want to believe those thoughts sometimes.
Oh, I know. They seem so real.
Yes. Yes.
And that's the thing is, your perception of reality comes from within.
Oh, yeah.
And the thoughts you think create your reality if you go off into the spiritual side, but it's being able to have that little break and the recognition. And I think that's where it's so important to working with a coach, no matter where you are. You could be very successful, you could have an amazing life, but we are all going to have these thoughts at some point that are blocking us, and they may not even be true. And so I think it's so important for all women, no matter where you are in life or in your journey, to have a mentor, to have a coach, to have a support person that you can go to that is going to call you out and help you kind of overcome any of those hurdles. Now, whether that is in your professional life, whether it's financially, whether it's, health or mental health, it's just, I think it's super important.
Yeah.
Because we're all going to think the things automatically, the ants are going to come in.
Yeah. And I think we don't realize sometimes where it's holding us back, those thoughts, right? And that is what, having a coach to help you kind of see the bigger picture, or just see from the outside, what's kind of blocking you as well, and helping you work through that and find the tools, right? And being that, compassionate support that's like not judging you, but is holding space for you to, talk about it and examine them.
Yeah.
Sit with them.
Because we all have them, whether we want to admit it or not. We have those ants.
We do.
So, you talk a lot about like the mental health, the gut health, but then that leads to emotional health as well. Can you kind of share what the difference is between mental health and emotional health? Because I think that's like a very confusing concept for, someone just getting into their healing journey or their spiritual journey. Thoughts and beliefs and emotions, and like it's so many like intangible concepts that they all work together. We know that, but like what is kind of the difference? Like thoughts lead to emotions, which leads to beliefs. Kind of remind me of the cycle.
Well, I feel like the easiest way that I think of it is like mental health is like your mental thoughts, your thoughts, right? And then emotional health is more of your emotions, so your feelings. And yes, they do work together and correlate in some way.
You can clearly tell I am working on having emotions and feeling emotions. I'm very masculine. For those of you who don't know me, I'm very masculine. I know I dress feminine, but I am like not connected to my feelings. Like it's something I am again learning at age 30 that I'm like, oh, this is how I feel, or it's normal to have feelings or cry. Like it feels like a foreign concept to me. So like I can recognize thoughts immediately. I'm very Virgo. I'm like very analytical. Like I'm like, oh, I'm thinking shitty thoughts. This is not good. But I don't know how I feel. So I'm having a hard time grasping the emotional versus the mental health piece. So any way that you can explain that to me or to any other woman who's going through this, because sometimes we're not taught to have emotions. So recognizing how they play into this whole thing.
Yeah. I think it brings me to, again, awareness. Yeah. So when you're having a feeling, is trying to be in tune with it. And if you've spent so much of your life, which I'm guilty of it too, and still working on it, where you're blocking your feelings and then not even knowing what you're feeling, so you can't even put a name to it. That can be a struggle. So it's first is like, and it's going to be something that's not going to happen overnight, but is allowing yourself to feel the feeling. So if you feel an urge to cry, cry.
But what if I don't feel I don't feel anything?
So
So, okay, like an example would be, it's like totally turning into a therapy session. This is why I love our friendship and our professional relationship. But I think a lot of women experience this, right?
Yeah.
Like we're in such a like get stuff done, be the ultimate mom, like be the best employee. Like we're just getting through life and we're like in survival mode. And I feel like when we're in survival mode, we don't have time to sit and pause and reflect and journal and manifest. And like all the things that you were sharing are a part of your daily routine, because it's only in those moments we can come out of fight or flight and we can process the thoughts and the feelings. And so since I have not done that in probably a very long time, when I sit, I don't feel anything. I think thoughts, right? I'm
Mhm.
like, oh, I should be mad about this, or gosh, that's a really sad situation, right? But like there's a disconnect between the thought and the emotion. And so kind of working through that is like I'm like where's the connect, right?
Yeah. I think things that have helped me is definitely like you've mentioned it, but they are it's and they're so important, but it is the journaling and it's writing even if you're starting by just writing down I don't feel anything. Like that will just start like it kind of ignite it and like it might take a while till you actually like can write something of a feeling, I feel this way or that way, or even if you're just kind of describing what you're feeling, I feel like a pit in my stomach, like anything like that can be a good starting point. But I think in your case too, which a lot of people are like that, and I know I was, is that go 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 mentality where it's like at least you're aware that you're like this. So that's a big step because you know at points you don't even know that you're
Yeah.
just on all the
I
time.
think most of my 20s, like
Yeah,
I
same.
was like, this is just who I am. I'm not an emotional person. I'm this, and that, a story, right?
Yep.
A thought.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, whoa, I'm like missing a piece of human existence by
Mm,
not feeling feelings.
yeah.
So now, like you said, I'm in that next phase where I'm aware, but like needing the tools and the coaches and the understanding of like what next. So
Yeah. That and I would say, and I know you're working on this, is slowing down, right? Part of being in our masculine is the go, go, go and the do, do, do. But our feminine, which is where we feel our feelings more, is the slow, is the, just the being. And
uh-huh.
that can be, trust me when I say this, that can be so hard to just be. But that's where the practice will come in. And the more you can sit and just be, you'll, like meditation's really good for that, to practice that. Because when you're meditating you are just being, it might take a couple times where you're just thinking all the thoughts, that's how it was for me when I started, still is sometimes, but you continue to sit through it and sure enough more and more like you'll start to you'll feel yourself, like you'll literally feel yourself because you're just there with you. So I think it's tools like journaling and meditation, I will say, have been huge for me in that, because it wasn't many years ago that I was a go goer, and I still have the tendencies, but again those tools that help you bring you back. So I would say those are two important things. And knowing that when you start that it's not going to be, it's going to be frustrating because you're not used to it, right? Your body,
Yeah.
especially if you're very masculine in a go 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 state and a high achieving person, is like it's going to feel weird. You're going to like resist, but
Yeah.
it's just showing up anyways, and knowing and trusting that over time like you'll start to see a difference, your thoughts or your feelings.
That's definitely more of what I need to implement. And like you said, through our 12-week cleanse with the coaches program, I was like, all right, I need to slow down. I need to
Yeah.
say no. I need to like sit with myself in the discomfort.
Mhm.
Something else that you taught me and our other cleansers was how to recognize kind of feelings in the body. And you talked about the past and the present. Can you kind of share that with our holistic soul sisters? Because that was a great little nugget of wisdom.
Yeah. So it's when you are feeling depressed, it's typically because you're living in the past. And then if you're feeling anxious, it's you're living in the future.
Hmm.
And so really reminding us to be present. So if we find ourselves depressed or anxious, we're not in the present. So we're somewhere else. And all that
Yeah.
matters right now is the present. That's what's most important. Because that is what will affect, your future is how you're living now.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just a different way to kind of like process, the thoughts that you're having. If they're like, what is going to happen next week? Or is this the right decision for me? Or what is going to happen if, when, and why? Or if you're like, oh my gosh, ruminating on what already happened that you can't go
Mm-hmm.
back and change.
Yeah.
Those are thoughts
Yeah.
and they're going to affect you physically. That's
Yeah.
a big part, with,
And you can notice too if like, oh, I mean that can be where the awareness piece comes in, is like, if you're like, oh, I've been feeling down lately, it's like you can potentially make the connection of like, oh, why? It's because I potentially am thinking about something that already happened that I can't change, that already, came and went. And then same with anxiousness, right? If like you catch yourself and you're like, I'm so anxious today. Well, like, why are you anxious? Like, oh, because I'm thinking about like what I need to do next week and this and this and that, right?
Yeah.
So like it's a good way to kind of reel us back in. Um
Yeah,
to the present moment.
the awareness.
Yeah.
I love that. I could pick your brain all day, but I would love to kind of wrap up this education portion with what your daily routine looks like for optimal mental health. So can you kind of walk us through like your day and be as extra and dramatic? I'm sure not every day looks this way, but if you could kind of give us a bunch of day-to-day hacks that we could use to improve our mental health, what would that
Yeah.
look like?
So it would be waking up in the morning, ideally at the same time every morning, avoiding your phone for at least the first hour or so.
Oh, it's so hard.
I know. I know, but it has a huge effect. So if you do instead something like a meditation, so I'll do even if it's only for a couple minutes, that kind of sets the tone for the day, allows your headspace to kind of clear out. Um, and you're starting the day clear-minded and kind of centered versus if you start to pick up your phone, now you're, worrying about everything that's about to happen and all of that. So meditation is huge. A gratitude journal. So even just kind of listing out a couple of things that you're grateful for, you'll see a huge difference starting your day because then you're starting your day already positive. And then warm lemon water. Do that every morning. That just kind of gets the system working. Flushing anything out from the night before. You've just detoxified yourself during sleep. So lemon water, and I say that before like any other drink, so any coffee, and then a nourishing breakfast, so something that's full of healthy protein and fats, and then I would say a morning workout or any type of movement throughout your day. I'll do a morning workout. I like to do them in the morning because it provides me energy for the rest of the day. And I also, if I work out in the morning and something comes up in the, afternoon or evening and I don't get to the workout, at least I've already done it. So like anything that comes up can just come up. And then, a nourishing lunch as well, making sure you're definitely eating lunch. And then for I would say as a night routine is kind of having some type of night routine. So whether that's winding down and reading a book before bed, journaling again, just kind of getting your thoughts of the day out on paper, maybe something's bothering you, getting it down that way, stretching, um, anything that is something for you, right? Not something that, is just kind of taking your attention like your phone or TV, but something for you. Um, that way you kind of close out the night with, something for yourself.
So it seems like everything that you do on a daily basis to improve your mental health is either very low cost or practically free. And it's just a matter of like honoring yourself and taking time and space for you.
Mhm.
And it sounded like that's really what you end up helping your clients with the most is
Yeah.
coming back to themselves, right?
Yeah, kind of figuring out maybe where the blocks are or because it's really what it is, right? We all know some of the things to do to be healthy, but like what's blocking us. So that is where I come in and I help guide to kind of unblock those and figure those out.
So when, we talk about clients coming to you, what do you find most people are coming to you for? Is it like they come to you and say like, "Oh, I have a mental health issue, can you help me?" Or are they coming to you for other reasons? Like what do you think is the biggest concern or the reason that people are guided to your help?
It looks different for everyone because each person's journeys and struggles and all of that are a little bit different, but ultimately wanting, more of a holistic and natural lifestyle approach. And um, also, which some of the clients don't really realize this, but a lot of it comes down to really, wanting a deeper connection with themselves, you know, being more connected with who they are, that feeling deep inside of them, getting to know themselves more, and developing that deep sense of love for themselves. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I witnessed that in our parasite cleanse group.
Mm.
A lot of the women that joined our group came for the physical. They were like, "Oh, I've never done a parasite cleanse," or "I have this symptom," or I have a big birthday coming up. I'm turning 50 and I want to feel my best. Like they came for the physical, and through the journey and you being a co-facilitator in that group, you really help them expand more into their purpose and their why and the places that they wouldn't really go to on their own. So it was beautiful to witness, them acknowledging the physical and doing all the things on the outside, but they were really focusing more on their thoughts, their mindset. We had one woman who took your advice and went for a walk like every couple hours and moved her body, and she shared with us, oh my gosh, how funny was this? She shared with us about at work she would get very frustrated and kind of lash out on coworkers or people that she was managing and just had a little bit of a temper tantrum with them. And by the end of the cleanse group, she was like shining and sharing how proud she was of herself, that she had looked at her ants, her automatic negative thoughts, and that she was able to kind of work through her patterns. And because she was walking every day and she was feeling better on the outside, her whole mindset shifted. Wasn't that magical?
Yeah. And she, I think most of them came in for, mainly when we were doing a parasite cleanse, we do want, more of the physical, but we know it's related to gut health too. Without realizing there's a lot of mental health involved too, mental and emotional. So, and like that came up for that client specifically, and she kind of learned some tools to kind of move through it. So I was really proud of her, and I know she was for herself. So those are the things, I get excited about seeing for my clients, and I know they do, um, because that's a learning piece for them and huge awareness for them.
Yeah. And you kind of just meet people where they're at, right? Like, regardless of if they are on pharmaceuticals or not, if they have already implemented an exercise routine or not, like, wherever someone is on their journey, like, you're going to meet them right there and help them see what is their block or how they can kind of move forward in their healing journey. And I would assume that when you're saying that someone's like not loving life and they're having these blocks, that can really manifest in a bunch of different ways in our life, right? Like some clients, it might manifest in like them not being able to lose the weight, even though they've tried all these options. Maybe for someone else, they're not able to, move forward in a decision in their life because, maybe they're stuck in a relationship that they need to leave, but they're not loving their life. Or, there's probably a variety of manifestations of this that people come to you with, and little do they know it's a deeper issue than just my gut health.
Yes, that can show up in so many ways. I mean, it can be like physical symptoms, it can be emotional or mental symptoms, and working together, I'm able to use that holistic approach. So we're not just focusing on just mental or just, physical. It's looking at all the pieces all together.
So when you're working with clients, what does that look like? What is your main offering that you do to support them in their journey?
So right now I offer a one-on-one coaching program. It's 6 months, and it's either weekly or bi-weekly calls together.
And why did you pick 6 months? Curious.
So, well, it's kind of like when you go to the gym, you're not going to see improvements. Definitely not in the first few days. Definitely not in the, couple weeks. It takes months to see progress. And, when we're working with things like health, it does take some time. So 6 months allows us to really build time together, and anything less than that I don't think is, enough to really kind of dig in there, but then enough time to really work at it too.
Yeah.
So anything less than that is just scratching at the surface.
Got to go deeper into the layers.
Yes.
What other services do you offer besides your 6 month coaching container?
So I also offer private sound bath meditations where I can come to your home, your event, wherever it may be locally to the Tampa Bay area.
Awesome. And what is the process like working with you? So when someone says, okay, I need to work with Paige, she is going to make me love life again. What does that process look like?
So either reaching out to me on Instagram, um, or Facebook. I also have my email address. Typically, we would schedule a 30-minute discovery call. So we will spend some time just talking about you, where you're at, your health journey, your health desires, and seeing if it's a good fit to work together and partner.
Love that. And then they're going to say, hell yeah, because you're going to change their life. So, and then you kind of work together for 6 months.
Yep.
I love that. What is something that you have coming up? Any future projects or anything that's in the works that you want to share with us that we can look forward to seeing from you?
So I am definitely in a phase of expansion. So there are some things on the horizon, I will say that.
Okay, all right. And we are going to do another group parasite cleanse together, but not until January. So if you've never done a parasite cleanse before, or you're going to do your annual one, come cleanse with us coaches. That was a lot of fun. I feel like round 2 is going to be even better. So
it will. I'm excited for that as well. So yeah, you can definitely work with us in January as well.
I love that. So how can people find you? You mentioned to reach out to you via Facebook or Instagram. I will link all of it, but if you want to share with us.
So my Instagram is at the.whole.page. And
that's Paige,
yes.
and whole as in WHOLE.
Yep.
Okay.
And then my Facebook is the whole page.
Okay.
Yes.
Love that. And any last piece of wisdom or advice that you can give our holistic soul sisters? And it can be about anything. It doesn't have to be health or mental health or anything related, but any piece of advice you want to give our sisters that when they get off this podcast that can guide them on their journey.
I think the biggest piece I'd want to share is figuring out what your why is and never forgetting it, because that is what will help you and guide you and push you on your journey, is just remembering that why and working towards that why, never forgetting it.
That's a good one. I think it's kind of like our own personal mission statement that we should all be very clear about, like, what are we here as souls on this earth to accomplish? And if we don't know that big, spiritual mission, it's okay. Your why could be to just bring a smile to someone's face once a day. Like that can make such a difference. Or your why could be to make yourself feel better, whatever it might be. I love that. Oh, I got so many good nuggets of wisdom from you. Even though we've known each other a decade, you still bring so much wisdom and knowledge and perspective that I really appreciate and value. So again, thank you for being here today and blessing us with your presence. And you will see more of Paige within our Holistic Soul Sister community. She's going to be doing a Monday takeover and she'll be popping in. So if you ever have any questions for her, you can just tag her and she will comment and respond. I'm sure of it. And maybe we'll do a part 2 someday soon.
Yes, I would love that. Thank you, Mandy. This has been a pleasure.
Yay.